Racing on gravel and dirt is becoming serious and big business, with even more ex-pro roadies turning to gravel and more bike manufacturers launching speed and race-focused gravel bikes than ever before. And the latest bike to join a growing list of race-ready gravel bikes is the all-new BMC Kaius. It's a bike cut from the same cloth as the Cervelo Espero, the 3T Exploro Race Max, and the Video Rave. All about speed, low weight, aerodynamics, yes, even on a gravel bike, and few concessions to comfort and versatility. Now, it's worth remembering that gravel, as we know right now, love or hate it, was born in the US, where racing on gravel and dirt was really the birthplace for this scene. And then it was only when Salsa came along with their Warbird, a gravel race bike, that the whole category of gravel bikes really became as big as it is now. And as gravel has spread around the world, we've seen it spread into two different directions. And right here where I sit, my experience of gravel is less racing and more adventure, the freedom, the escape from busy roads, the more adventure side of gravel to less racing. But in the US, as I found out when I spoke to Ben Delaney in a podcast, linked down below, a few months ago, gravel racing in the US is big. And it's for riding fast over gravel and dirt that a brand new BMC Kaius is designed for. Of course, BMC has been offering a gravel and adventure bike for several years now in the shape of the Unrestricted, or URS for short. I reviewed it in several different versions, linked down below, with and without front suspension. But definitely a more polarizing gravel bike. Super aggressive angles borrowed from mountain biking, so really long reach, short stem, very slack head angle, long wheelbase, and an addition of front suspension if you want it as well. But definitely a more polarizing, more of a Marmite gravel bike. And what the new Kaius is designed to be is definitely the roadie who wants a gravel bike, because let's be honest, it looks like a road bike with fat tyres fitted. So the new Kaius looks like a road bike with fat tyres, I think you'll agree. You can see the Team Machine and Road Machine influence in the frame design, the dropped rear stays, the tube profiles, and the one-piece carbon handlebar and stem for maximum aero. It's a polar opposite to the URS. The geometry is more typical of a gravel bike, but definitely longer than other bikes in this category. For a size 56, you have a 405mm reach, while the same size Specialized Crux has a shorter reach of 397. The new BMC has a much lower stack than the URS and even the Crux. 570 for the BMC versus 598 for the Crux. So the new BMC is definitely slammed. It's long, it's low. And just as aggressive as the geometry are the new handlebars. They're flared gravel handlebar, but 36 centimeters at the hood and 42 in the drops. 36 on the tops is super narrow, not just for gravel bike, but for road bikes. And we're seeing some pros in the pro peloton really dabbling with super narrow handlebars. Been quite a few stories on social media over the last year or so about these super narrow handlebars. And it makes sense. Your frontal surface area, if you make yourself as small as possible, a small ball, you'll cut through the air faster. But seeing this approach applied to a gravel bike, it's definitely a bit left field and definitely another trend-setting move from BMC, as we come to expect from BMC. The Swiss company has a reputation for being definitely out there in terms of technology and the frame design. Tyre clearance is more generous than the old URS, which is 42. The new bike has 44, but that's not a patch on a Specialized Crux, which is a massive 47 if tyre clearance matters to you. On the weight front, you're talking 910 grams clean for a frame for the BMC, which again is not a patch on a Specialized Crux, which in the S-Works build is a feathery 725 grams if weight matters. And for this segment, I think weight probably does matter. Now, from the people I'm speaking to and the feedback I'm getting, that the gravel race scene, not the bike packing adventure scene by the way, is settling on 38 to 40 mil tyre clearance depending on the course, wider occasionally, but 38 to 40 seems to be that sweet spot. So 44 on a new bike is generous enough. And there's no point in BMC making the tyre clearance any bigger than it needs to be for the target market. That target market doesn't want versatility either, So no mudguard mounts, which is a real shame. And there's very few extra mounting points for bags and bottles and cages and other jazz you want to add to your bike. But we do get the 2 bolts on the top tube, which is fast becoming a standard on gravel bikes. This new bike is of course expensive, as most new bikes are these days, with a range topping, all singing, all dancing model costing over 11,000 in whatever currency, US, Euros, UK, over £11,000. But it's worth remembering, worth adding, that the range starts at 5,700 with SRAM rival ETAP, which is still a lot of money, but a lot less than that 11,000 of the range chopping model. And I know it's easy to focus on those range chopping bikes, but the range starts at a much lower price point, so worth bearing that in mind before we go to the comments to complain about how expensive bikes are. Yes, their top end bikes are expensive, but low down the range, they're not quite as bad, but still fairly expensive. So new BMC Kaius does look good if you want a fast, basically road bike with fat tyres for smashing on road and gravel and dirt. And I will be getting my hands on one to review very soon. I was meant to go to launch, but a few things happened and changed, and I couldn't make it out to Switzerland for the launch of the new bike. But there is one coming this way very soon. And that, I'm sure you'll agree, and plenty of reason to hit the subscribe button right there. And if you want to see my review of this Specialized Crux, which is a very similar bike to this new one, then check this video right here.